Hi guys! So today I am bringing a video that is actually not planned. I had planned on having the line art completely done for the video that I meant to have out today, but it took a lot longer to get this line art done than I had planned. But that's okay. That's one of those things about making art for me, is that there's just always gonna be those times where it fights me, and that's okay. Each time that does happen, it just helps me learn better to see the issues coming sooner and be able to fix it as I'm working on it, instead of after I thought I was all done, like I did for this piece. I honestly thought that this piece would actually go a lot quicker and smoother than it did, just because from the get-go it did come together really fluidly. It was just my morning get warmed up sketch, and it was basically this character, and I was really liking it. I was enjoying it, so I just kind of reworked her and started working on the second character, and that is really something that does not happen to me very often. I feel like I really have to fight with my pieces to make them the way I want. There's so many more failed drawings and illustrations in between anything that I deem acceptable enough for anyone else to see. So I was really excited about that. It was working great. I got the figures all inked out, and then I started on the background, and I think that's really where my main fatal flaw was at. And I had used a much thicker brush stroke for the background. I didn't really realize it at first because I was not looking at the full image, which I usually have on my other monitor. So I was going, and I got most of the way done with the background until I looked at it, and then I realized that the line weight of the figures as opposed to the line weight of the background, they did not match. They looked like they belonged to two entirely different illustrations. And I had a few options. I could either shave off the background to try to make those lines thinner, or I could thicken up the figures, but I knew that I did not want the figures to have thicker lines. I wanted them to stay that same line width. So at this point, I'm realizing I just need to take a step back and really analyze my piece, look at it as a whole, and see what parts aren't working anymore and what brought it away from that feeling that I wanted from the beginning. And one of the big issues that I realized, besides the line weight, was also the types of lines. There was just not enough variation in the lines themselves, as well as the shapes that they were describing. I had a lot of very vertical but slightly more organic looking lines that I used to describe the trees, and then at a different angle that same kind of line for the boardwalk that they're walking on. So I was realizing it was very one note. It was not enough variation going on in the background that I wanted. So the solution that I realized for that would be to add a different type of shape to the background. I knew that I wanted this to be a very lush, rich forest kind of a feel to it. So I decided, okay, I needed to add more of these really thick leafed plants, and that would be able to give me a different type of line and a different type of mark to have in the background to really break it up and to show more variety. So in the end, I did decide to go ahead and try to fix up what I had already put down. I decided that what I really needed to do was lighten up the background lines. They just were way too thick. They were really overpowering the figures, and while that worked well for the two trees that are in the foreground where they're coming a lot closer, the ones that were behind the figures theoretically should have a thinner line. So I started carving away at those. I added those leaves that I had decided I wanted to put in, and then I ended up adding more leaves for this foliage up at the top that I kind of imagined was coming from the trees, and it just made it much more rich and full looking. And that is about it with the line art. I think as I'm looking back at this, there's a few more different types of plants I'd like to put in there and different details, but it's pretty much there. Hopefully what you can kind of see from this video is that sometimes illustrations, they just feel wrong and they're just not working, and it helps to just keep powering through it. Just keep working, keep fixing those little issues that you have with it, and the more you work those kinks out, the more the piece will become better and the more you'll like it. I know that that's true for me, is that sometimes when a picture is just really fighting me, I have the urge to just throw it away, to give up, start a new one. But I found that the more I put into these ugly illustrations that are a real struggle for me, the more they can become what I want it to be, even though it didn't seem possible from the beginning. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. My plans for the next video will actually be what I had anticipated putting out today, and that will be the coloring process for this. And I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to kind of get back to my roots of color theory, so I'm pretty excited about that. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you can catch all the future videos. And until then, I will see you at my next video.